Hi there, in this tutorial we are going to learn how to use these stroke options, and we're going to use them to create some awesome strokes such as shapes with dashed lines, curves with arrows and a profile, and some dotted lines here, which is very important. And also we're going to create a grid with some arrows inside. Some awesome work that will help you to create even better designs. So let's start our plastic surgery. Okay, hopefully you'll do it only in Illustrator, not in real life. To follow along with me and to do the work, you will need to open strokes.ai. And you will get this lady where we are going to say how we are going to do the surgery using these stroke options. So let's start. First of all, I'm going to come under the eyes here and zoom in. Most of the stroke options I will show you now, they apply for all what you learned, the shapes, the segment, whatever is inside here, but not all of them will apply to the brush tool. Remember that. I'm gonna start with the pencil and start drawing something just like this. Okay, that will do. Now let's go to stroke option. And then you notice here you have several groups. The first group is about the stroke itself, its weight, the cap, that's the extremities, the corner, and the align stroke. This applies to closed shapes. So let's go and zoom in first of all. I will zoom in. Okay, just put it here. The first one is the cap. The cap is about the beginning and the end of the path. The beginning starts with an anchor point and the end starts with the anchor point. So you have butt cap. They just chop off in the same direction where the path has come. Also you have a round where you round them. So notice it has rounded and projected beyond the anchor point. So really you have 1 point. If I take it more, you will notice the projection here will go now 4 points, something like this. This is important if you're doing, some very precise artwork. And also you have the projecting cap. If you click on it, here you are, it's projecting beyond the anchor point. Now, you have corners, but what is really called a corner? This is a corner, so it has hard angle. So it's like the stroke comes over here, stops, and continues. Now let me give you an example of what is not a corner. So this is a corner, but this or this is not a corner. If you are driving, this is a corner. Actually, in graphics, this is not a corner. This is a curve, this is a curve, and a curve. So let's stick to graphic design and not driving. So here we have a corner. If you come to the stroke here, you will notice you have options for the corners. The first option is the miter joint. Actually, it's like the stroke comes in and goes out, they are merged, and you have a hard corner here or hard angle. The second one is the round joint. So you are rounding them. You notice how it has rounded over here. And you have the bevel joint. It just cuts it off. So let's take it to round. Now you have a line stroke here which does not apply to the pen. Let me show you where it applies. Let's zoom out. Let's come over here. I'm going to draw a rectangle. Okay. I'm going to hide the stroke so you can see it very well. Come to the stroke. And notice, by the way, the corners apply to shapes. So you can round or bevel the corner of a shape, which is very interesting here. What is a line stroke? You notice you have the binding box, the red one here. And now our option is to center the stroke, meaning half of it is on the inside of the binding box and half of it is on the outside. You could say, I want it all on the inside or I want it all on the outside, depending on the graphic you are doing. Good. Let's keep this rectangle there. We are going to give you more examples. And the next option is dashed lines. Okay, we can take the same one and go to stroke and enable dashed lines. Now, I'm going to delete this. 5 will do. 5 dashes. So notice now you have the dashed over here. You have a dash and a gap. Let's zoom in. You notice you have a dash and a gap. Because I did not specify any gap, it takes the same size as the dash. So if you increase the dash to 7, the gap will be also 7. But you can specify a gap. For example, 3. Here you are. So now you have a gap of 3. You can also have another dash, for example, of 5. Another gap of, 5. Okay, that will have been the same. Something like this. I'm going to delete this guy. The rest will be deleted also. But notice here what's happening. Okay. You notice you have two options for the dashes. The first option, we start with the dash and gap, dash, gap, and so on. And it tries to fix itself at the end here. And notice how the corner is. The better option is align dashes. And here you are. So I'm going to remove the round corner for now. With this option, it aligns the dashes. And on the corner here, you will have a dash. Let's show you another example. So if you come over here, you do something like this. Okay. And then you come to the stroke. Let's reduce a bit the stroke. And then this is the first option. I'm going to go for the second option. And notice all the corners now have dashes. It's much nicer design. Let's undo this. Now let's go for the selection tool. Select this guy. Go to stroke. And I wanted a round cap and round corners is pretty nice. Let's go ahead and duplicate it just over here. Now let's go for the curvature tool. I'm going to draw something nice. So control and click to deselect. Start with the curvature tool. One here and one here and one here. And that's cool. Let's go for the selection tool. Symmetric, but it's okay. Let's go now and work on the dashed lines. But what I would like to create is a dotted line. To create a dotted line, you make sure that the round cap is on. The corner really doesn't matter. And then you come to dashes and you say 0. Now you have small dots all over. You want them bigger, just increase the weight. And of course, you will want to increase the gap here. Let's put it at 6, something like this. Okay. Now, let's come to the forehead here. I'm going to use the curvature tool, control and command to deselect and draw something just like this. Okay. Of course, now it's reverting to the default. Come over to the stroke and then no cap and actually no dashed lines. Cool. And it's 3 points. Let's reduce it to 2 or 1 point it would do. Now let's focus on the arrowheads here. You can add an arrow at the beginning of the path, not at the left or right. It's at the beginning of the path. So if you drew it from right to left, the beginning will be on the right. And this one also, let's add another arrow at the end. These arrows are too big for what I want to do. I want to reduce the size. You notice here you have the scale for the arrows and you have a chain link. If the chain link is on, you can reduce the size of both left and right or beginning and end at the same time. You can also add a profile, which I always like. If you unchain, you can increase the size of one of them, for example. So let's take this one, command click to deselect. I'll press option and command because I don't want to go for the black arrow. Make one and make another one. And I'm going to select this shape over here. Come back to the stroke and put the align stroke the normal way. Reduce a bit the stroke weight. And go for the dash. And go for the normal cap. So I'm going to give a dash here of 5. And really no gap. Delete the gap. Okay. Here you are. So that's what's happening here. If I click out, you notice the corners. Really not nice at all. What you can do is to come to the stroke and select the second options, which ensure that the dashes are around the corners. And if you come to stroke and just put this one to 0, so dash 0, cap 5, make sure you have a rounded cap. Here you are. You have a dotted circle. And also you can have in the same thing a star. Let's do the star. Unfortunately, you have to go back to the stroke and select the second option for it to set. So actually you have a dot at every corner. Pretty cool. Fine. So let's apply this here. I'm going to take an ellipse and draw the ellipse just over here, something like this. I hope it won't be very congested. Okay, put it here and go for the stroke. Actually, I don't want round, so I'm going to use a 5 by 5. That will be nice. And remove it just like this. Reduce the size is too much. Okay, that will be cool. Okay, another option for the arrows. We have the possibility to extend the arrow beyond the last anchor point and of course the first anchor point. The option is here, extend arrow. So this is extended. This is inside. Now, let's make it more beautiful here. Let's draw certain things. I'm going to come to the line segment and just draw arrows just like this. Okay, I press shift to have some arrows which we are going to put. Okay, so I'm going to select all of them and come to the stroke here and add the arrow and reduce its size. Okay, that's pretty fine here. But actually, this is not what I want. I want the arrows to come from down to up. Well, I have the option here to swap the arrows. Here you are. So if you had another arrow over here, okay, let's take one just like this. Okay, and then you can swap them. Okay, pretty nice and pretty useful, by the way. You won't waste your time. Now, let's take these guys here and duplicate them. I put another one here and another one here. Okay, let's draw now a grid. Okay, something we haven't seen. This is a rectangular grid tool. So you come over and you draw like you're drawing a rectangle. But now, if you use the up arrow, you will increase the horizontal lines. Down arrow, you decrease the horizontal line. Right arrow, you will increase the vertical lines. Left arrow, you will increase them or decrease them. Okay, so just like this. Now notice if I release, I will not be able to use the arrows. So now I still have my mouse down. Okay, I still clicked. I'm going to reduce them a bit, just like this. And from here, also reduce them. Okay, that will do. Cool, just like this. Spacebar to move it. I'm going to move it just over here. Fine. Let's go to the stroke now and reduce the stroke. Okay, we want it very thin. We could change the color also. And let's add some arrows to the grid. That will be interesting. Very interesting arrows. So that is the beginning. Notice where it's beginning. Okay, and that is the end. Very cool. Right, guys? Let's reduce the size. I have the chain link on. And then I will change the color to some dark gray like this. Oh, that's very beautiful. Command 0 to see. Here you are. You have done all that is required to do her much more beautiful than before. It's going to be a fantastic surgery. Now, you need to experiment. You need to play with this. That will be very interesting if you come over and create your own. Okay, this is mainly to demonstrate for you. You can be quite artistic now and use all the tools that you need except the brush tools, please, and really create something very awesome. For example, you could use the arc, for example. Come to the arc, come to the stroke. I need to reset it and no dashes, and create a very nice arc just like this. Press the shift key and then rotate the arc. I will go for the selection tool and just rotate the arc like this and just put it over here and say, okay, I want some arrows, one on the left, one on the right. I want them to be, projecting a bit, and I really want to reduce their size. I can just click here. I like clicking here because I can see them getting smaller. And reduce the stroke. Now I need them bigger. Okay, so now they're bigger. Fine. And let's add some dashes for this girl, but we don't want this dash. We want a 10 dash, and I'm taking the second option. Here you are. Okay, now it's awesome. So you can do your work and do your surgery. Cool, guys. Come over and play as much as you want. There is no assignment for this one. Just playing around, doing it much nicer than I have done. I will see you in the next tutorial.